Hello and welcome to Klimatic Scale. I'm Dash from Klimatic Group. We started this podcast because big urban industries like energy and the built environment are at a turning point. They need to change to stay competitive, and we need them to change for the planet to thrive. The problem is many new solutions never make it past the showcase stage. In Klimatic Scale, we look at concrete examples of technologies that actually made it, so both corporates and startups in our audience can learn what works. This chapter focuses on venture building and venture clienting and the practical toolkit behind them. My guest today is Alexander Söchtig, the COO of inno2grid, a venture building company in the energy sector.
Good to be talking to you today.
So can you tell a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Alexander Söchtig. I'm the COO of inno2grid. I've been with inno2grid for 10 years now.
Well, quite a while.
My career is as old as inno2grid is actually, or when it was founded, I actually started it with a part of the team, which is still here. And now I'm the COO of a very young team. We're a venture builder here in Berlin, and we're sitting right at the core of our innovation processes in the ZEMO base. It's a microsmart grid on EUREF campus.
So you have been with inno2grid for so long. You're at the roots of it. When did you personally realize that venture building is a useful tool for innovation?
It's in our DNA because inno2grid was actually built out of a venturing process.
An inception.
Yeah, we've been through that journey as a venture, as a corporate venture of two big companies, Schneider Electric, a French multinational electronic company, and the Deutsche Bahn, the German railway company. And we believe we've learned quite a lot, and we have all the different ingredients to be a good venture builder at the intersection of energy, mobility, and digitization. That is our purpose, and I think we bring together quite well the corporate know-how of our two shareholders, but also of our huge ecosystem here on campus with the startup agility. We're still a small team. We're at the edge of big companies. We have a perfect setup here, not just from an entity perspective, but also from a location perspective.
Do you remember your first time when you heard the term venture building?
I believe like maybe 5-6 years ago when I first met firms who are actually putting in words what we did, which was like consulting corporates how to deal with technology changes, regulatory changes in the energy industry. We are trying to build new business models with our customers. Within corporates, we want to bring startup thinking and startup ideas together with corporates. This 5-6 years was a journey of understanding better what are different tools corporates have to work on innovation with their outer world and work on disruptive innovation, because in incremental innovation they're good, but disruptive, they mostly haven't found a way how to disrupt themselves.
That's where the venture element comes in. What, from your perspective, are the signals when a venture should be built within a corporate or using the resources of the corporate?
I believe the decision of building a venture doesn't come very early in the innovation process. If you're in an ideation stage or an exploration stage, you don't know what kind of method is the best method to meet your need. So when I work with customers, or when we work with customers, we never saw that we want to build a venture. It's just one tool, exactly. It depends partly on how disruptive it is, how risky it is for a brand.
So basically it should be not too risky to actually connect your own brand with it.
Exactly. You should try it out first and learn under a different brand first. And I believe venture building is a good thing if you actually want to try something out and want to test something. And if you disrupt maybe your go-to market, so you sell stuff differently and you sell offline and now you're trying to build an e-commerce or a online go-to market and channel for yourself, it's sometimes hard to build that up within a company because it disrupts your normal operation, which in the end pays the disruptive innovation. Yeah, and you shouldn't integrate it too early, in my opinion. But then sometimes it's product innovation. We build a product for a corporate, a energy management system, Hems Logic it's called, for Schneider Electric, and this software product is an innovation in itself. But to sell it and to market it, Schneider Electric or the corporate has the better tools, has the better brand. So you have to differentiate between what you want to innovate, how risky it is, and product innovations can be integrated way earlier into a corporate if you want to. Go-to-market innovations or business model innovations, their venture building is a far better tool to first off start outside and get the right feedback from the market, and also have some kind of scaling, because if it's too small, it's going to be destroyed in a big corporate as well. So you have to have different sides before you integrate a new business model, a new go-to-market into a corporate.
So from your perspective, is there a need of a very specific challenge or request from the corporate client side, or you might also observe certain market need and go for it?
So clients have a lot of good ideas. They don't have the tool set to test those ideas, to explore those ideas in the market, to try something out without backfiring. What we see, corporates look outside for help, for spaces to explore stuff. Outside venture building is cheaper because you can test and validate technology way quicker. And this is what more and more corporates understand. Innovation is hard work, and people who've done that multiple times, explored ideas, they are good in that process, and they should use that process on different clients. We're a venture building platform because we believe it's better not to build your ventures by yourself, but to build it together with your ecosystem. I see more and more big firms joining forces and doing ideation and venture building together, which is way more valuable because it's cheaper, the risk is not as high because you have more knowledge in the room.
Access to the market.
Exactly.
Right?
So and different players with different roles in the market. Your go-to-market will be way faster. We do a lot of innovation process not only with one client, but we connect clients, in different stages and in different roles of the energy market to innovate together and build ventures together. And that is, I think, a development which has come the last 2 years. Beforehand, everyone wanted to do it by themselves. And I believe that is not the right way of doing innovation, especially in the energy market, which is an ecosystem of different players.
Would you say that there are other customers who will also bring in revenues? So it's a more stable system that does not fully depend on just one client. What are your thoughts about this and about this access to market?
You know how hard it is to get funding for ideas in a big corporate. This pull and push effect, so that the partners pull and push each other, and each and everyone pushes it in the direction which fits their needs. That helps to have, even if you don't know the right direction, you have a pilot customer maybe in the room who's more interested in buying the product of the venture than in participating in the business. They bring the customer need right on the table. And on the other side, you have the technology leader or a service provider which has to build that service, that technology. Not just some fuzzy thing outside of the room, it's in the room. And that helps. For example, we built a venture for the electrification of fleets, inno2grid, and we built it with the help of the Deutsche Bahn, one of the biggest fleet company in Germany. And we had them in the room, bringing their needs in, bringing their knowledge in about operating a fleet, about electrifying a fleet, about e-mobility, charging infrastructure. And on the other side, Schneider, a provider of charging infrastructure, to understand how to set up or how to build an end-to-end process. And there's millions out there who have fleets, bigger and smaller.
I think it's a perfect segue to a very specific case, for example. Can you share a little bit in detail with inno2fleet? How did it start? Who was the first stakeholder who brought it up?
So the first key stakeholder was actually the mobility manager or fleet operation manager of Schneider Electric. He was contemplating how to become a fully electric fleet. So Schneider has around 1,300 cars just in the DACH region, company cars, because we are a company car culture here in Germany, and we love our cars. But Schneider Electric has been Times Magazine's most sustainable company for quite some while now.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a solution to electrify our fleet yet. And he was looking around the market and figured, there's none who can help me end to end. And then they asked, inno2grid, can you help us to electrify our fleet? So it was we did market research, which cars out there. This was the time, 2018. There was only big, very expensive Audi e-trons, Teslas. So there was no mass car, I would say, on the market. And we were talking to Volkswagen, to other players in the market. When is your car coming? And is it fitting the mobility needs of our salespeople, of our operational people in Schneider Electric?
There's examples of how this connections to other players in the space can play in hand, so you can reach out fast to them and get the answers.
Exactly. And Volkswagen was in the midst of building LE, so they were interested in the needs of Schneider.
Yeah.
Then we were talking to other big fleet operators. Do you have the same needs?
Yeah.
How are you doing it? We were mostly solving the need, how to electrify my fleet. Is it a good total cost of ownership case? Is it going to be only sustainable, but also more economical in the future to have a full electric fleet? So we built business cases and we talked to all the players in the market. At all the technology, we figured out all across the value chain there's gaps in the market. So there's nobody who does fleet electrification consulting. Then there was issues in how to structure, how to build how much infrastructure on the locations of the companies or also at home. If you have a sales rep, they don't go to locations. They need to have their charger at home.
Yeah.
So then we build solutions
that's
for the
like
whole
some
value
complexity.
chain. Yeah. So it would be a seamless experience for the fleet operator, but also for the owner or user of the car to change from an ICE car to an electric car. And now you have an app, you have a charging card, you can charge everywhere. You have your charger at home, you have your charger at the location, etc., etc. So now Schneider is fully electric, 100%, and that helped us build inno2fleet. Schneider actually is the one who had the need and was like, am I the only one who has that need? And they were like, okay, I can have a chance to build a business in there, which helps me to accelerate EV adoption, which is a broader vision, a broader mission of Schneider Electric, which can help us to be a sustainability driver in the German market as well.
The person who noticed the issue looked inside the company already, couldn't find any good solutions within, and then reached out to you, to inno2grid, and you started first looking, okay, maybe there is already something out there. It was not. Then looking for elements that are maybe coming up, and that's where this connections with the main players is so important. And then looking, okay, what is missing? And then basically building in the missing links, but at the same time figuring out whether the demand from the market, from other companies, versus the cost of building this missing links is worth it. So for you, how many other projects that you looked at and was not enough to actually invest into creation of this new venture?
I believe it's 1 out of 5 to 7 ideas or explorations actually become a venture.
Quite high percentage, actually.
Yeah, it's higher than what you have in investing in startups because you're closer to the solution.
There is someone who has a need at least already.
It has a need and is very involved in the process. You know, the venture which you envision in the first ideation stages is not the one which comes out because you figure out we either cannot solve the whole problem, we just solve a part of the problem, or we fill a gap in the market. So it's sometimes even smaller than what the envisioned needed solution for the customer problem was. And we are ideating and we are testing ideas early on and explore them early on and build prototypes very early on. And we try them out here. So for example, together with a partner, a startup partner, actually, we tried a campus app here, which is an awesome product, but it didn't fit the need of the corporate player. So they were like, okay, maybe we don't go into that market. We thought we should have such an app in our portfolio, but in the end, it didn't become a corporate venture building process. It just was an exploration. It helped to scratch that off the strategy map and lean towards other things to build.
What about the situations when you notice corporate, they really want to do it within their company instead of, let's say, working together with you, someone who specializes in venture building? When do you think corporate should do it?
If it's close to the core, it's an incremental development of their core business. This depends on the corporate, how well they can do that. Some corporates, especially technology providers, have a different R&D and innovation culture. So they have more people who have the tool set. So you just have to coach them maybe. But if it's close to the core, it's always better to build it within.
How many of the ventures that go through venture building process become in the end independent legal entities, and how many stay within the companies?
The rule of thumb, it's a 50-50. Oh. So, but 50% integration and 50% is joint ventures, and also then die or the team takes over and gets into venture capital. So it's it's a startup. It's actually it's a spin-off of the company, but so it's a 50-50. We also we have the experience of trying to integrate, because the corporate wanted to integrate a venture, but figured out while integrating that it was too complex to integrate a new business model in their structures, ERP systems, etc. So they were then, saying, okay, I want to venture it out. I want to find a joint venture partner. So there's also a trial and error, and we've been through that with a client, and we can now show that to other clients, that even though you believe it should be integrated because you believe in the business and you see the need of disrupting your own business and driving your own business, sometimes it's better to keep it out even a little longer, and not integrate it after a 2 to 3 year venture process, even though the business takes off quite well.
Just let it be.
Let it be. Let them talk to each other, have a good relationship between the core business and the innovation part, the innovators, but bring in other expertise, keep the venture independent, because it will bring more value to your firm if it's independent than when it's integrated.
What is also signal kill your darling? So there's this IKEA fallacy, sometimes it's called IKEA bias, when if you build something yourself, then you feel it's just somehow a bit better. And so it can be hard to also notice when it's time to stop. What are some signals, or how to be more aware of that?
That is what a venture building expert brings in. The right criteria, decision criteria, and also a outside-in perspective to challenge ideas and tell the truth. We also say no to ideas of customers, even if they bring a lot of money, because we say we don't believe that this is something you should.
What are your biggest red flags usually? Some that come to your mind.
If the technology is already there and is pretty far already, and then they don't bring it to market within their own organization, and then they want to figure out the go-to-market and the business model, etc. So then this is always a red flag that it was developed out of a technological need or from an engineer, not in mind what the market actually needs, not testing early on. Then there's so much sunk cost in the development of such a product already that you don't have the time to pivot and build
Too heavy, basically.
it's already too heavy. And so if venture building is the last resort, then if we feel that is a red flag for us, because then you're not gonna have you may be gonna have a good budget there, but you don't have a good success rate there.
Yeah, it's basically, okay, it doesn't work well enough for us, let's try to push it externally.
Exactly.
That's the logic. What are some other rookie mistakes, so to say, in venture building?
Rookie mistakes. So
classic mistakes by someone with less experience, maybe.
If they already have a team and sometimes it's to load off well-paid engineers, managers, etc. So now build a startup kind of
again,
thing.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's always again, if the idea is already too far and too heavy, and the team is too heavy, and they don't want to be challenged, they just want to execute on what they think is the right way to build that venture. And if that's the case, we'll help those kind of entrepreneurs, which are valuable tries, but then venture capital mostly is a better way of starting that business, because the idea is so far already. Then venture capital is the better test if it could work with that team, with that technology, than a venture builder. We are earlier in an idea phase, So and then we send them to a corporate venture capitalist or to venture capital experts, because they have even a broader picture of what is there in the market. They have a even better understanding of looking at teams. We are better in building teams, and they are better in assessing teams. So that is sometimes the better feedback at first, and sometimes then they come back and say, okay, we now thought about it, we want to start here. And that market feedback, not only from the customer, but also from the innovation space and from the venture capital space, that helps sometimes, or helps to get these ideas on the right track. So, but heavy ideas, how we call them now, is a good point. These heavy ideas are always a red flag to us, because they are too far developed. And then we ask the question, why weren't you able to incubate it with most companies have an incubation program. So why weren't you able to get money from your corporate venture capitalist? Why didn't it work, And that's red flags.
What is your experience working with corporate venture capital, with CVC, and generally where the budget is usually coming from for venture building?
So it depends on the part, like where we are in the process. So corporate venture capital comes in later. If you're closer to scaling, closer to if you already validated, explored ideas, and have a prototype,
so
etc.
basically, your success, venture capital, or CVC specifically, might come in.
So the first budget comes from a business unit, mostly in a corporate, or from strategy, etc., but comes mostly out of a business.
Because the
need comes out of a business. And we try to keep it very lean early on, to have lean, low budget explorations to test the viability of in the early stages. And then if we validate and we build, sometimes those clients bring in their own corporate VCs to fund, for example, prototypes. Some do that. Some have part of their money for those kind of investments. Corporate venture capital comes in the scaling phase. So we're not done with venture building then, but there's a decision point if you have a prototype and you test it with the CVC. And sometimes it's a good decision to have the client actually be the big financial partner as well, and not just the idea partner. But sometimes it's also good to not go directly with the strategic corporate VC, but go more into the market and start with pre-seed or seed funding from a VC, a normal VC. So that is a decision how close again the idea is to the client, And sometimes the decision is, we want to make business with that, or we want to be part of that. We may be later on going to be a strategic investor, but more Series A, Series B, Series C. So the phase between prototyping and first scale, the financial partner could be a VC. There's different discussions on that in different cases.
Yeah. And so you have mentioned a few times a team, and also so that the team should be light enough. How do you balance in such a light team for venture building, both validating the desirability of this product in the market and the feasibility of the technology and the product design?
So we use partners for that. We have our own tech team, our own tech experts. We have our own business analysts and product owners, so closer to the market. But we use the knowledge of our ecosystem. And we also partner with other venture builders who have different footprints. We have a very domain expertise focused, energy domain expertise focused footprint and a process footprint. We also have tech knowledge in a few fields of tech, but there's other VCs, but also venture builders who have more knowledge. And so we partner, and we play that very openly with our customers. Again, it's a platform approach. We don't believe clients should be working on innovation, on ventures by themselves. They should have an ecosystem to build ventures, but also they should have an ecosystem with helping them build that venture, these ventures. Yeah.
So maybe the very last question, some really cool examples of ventures that were created with venture building that the audience should definitely look into to show how great this process can work, what kind of results it can bring.
There's, for example, so our own ventures, which we can talk about. For example, inno2fleet.
Name first the ones that you're going. Inno2fleet.
And the HEMS Logic, which is a product innovation. Then there's a charge point operation software we built together with a partner called Grid & Co. And I believe these are good examples of corporate venture building.
How do you define that their success? Is it by their long-term viability? Is it by the amount of customers they're getting in the market, interest? Why did you pick these ones as success examples?
In the end, it's the viability and it's the economic viability. They have enough customers. They reach a lot of customers, and they have a business model which works, which has been working early on, and they are still alive. So that is, even though they sometimes integrated and part of a bigger firm.
Being alive and having customers.
Yeah.
And being independent in some way from the original client.
And others there's big ones. So for example, Energiversum is a player built by EnBW, so a big utility company. Yeah. They will fight me, but they are comparable to 1,5 grad, to NPAL, and they've been built out of the EnBW venture building units. ChargeMaker is another one, more in the field of e-mobility. Then there's MEA, which is a fleet and charging operator from Statkraft. I don't even know if they've been built out of a venture building process or if they've been spin-off. But there's, especially in that field, different good examples of not the sexiest business models, but very valuable to the ecosystem and to their clients or to their mother companies. And they've been able to become independent from them, go their own way, and create some noise and generate some impact in the energy transformation and in the mobility transformation. Right? That is, in the end, what matters to fill a gap and provide a service everyone needs to drive further our energy transformation here in Germany, in Europe, and in the world.
Thank you so much. Any last words to our audience?
I thank you for listening to the podcast, and I encourage you to to deep dive into how to do innovation in a corporate environment and understand venture building, what it can bring to your own role if you're in a corporate, what exciting opportunities are out there for people who want to make an impact. And we not only need young people who come from the university and want to learn and be curious, but we also need a lot of experts in that field, in that corporate innovation field, at the edge of corporates, to help not only the bigger impact, but also to transform those big corporates at the edge and keep them competitive in a changing market environment. And just inform yourself. And if you want to learn more about inno2grid and how we do it, then come to RF Campus to Berlin. Come visit our office. We are open, knock our door. We are 360 days open here with our lab, and we are very eager to show how we do innovation, show our platform, invite people on our platform to do innovation with us. Just talk to us, maybe do a project on exploration with us. All that counts in the end, and all that brings a value to building better ventures and generating that impact we spoke about.
Alex, thank you so much for a beautiful chat. And thank you, dear listeners. Please subscribe to Klimatic Scale at Spotify or at Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere. See you next time.